Have you ever felt an itch out of nowhere, in specific places on your body, and thought it was just allergy or stress? What if I told you that it could be something much bigger, a spiritual message that they are hiding from you? That's that. What most people ignore, the oldest traditions knew by heart, the body speaks. And when he scratches, he may be trying to say something that his mind hasn't understood yet. We live in a world that disbelieves in the invisible, but the messages of the body are real, and they are constantly trying to show you the way. It is not madness, nor superstition. It is forgotten wisdom. Wisdom that the Egyptians, the masters of Hinduism and Chinese medicine, knew like no one else. The good news? You can access this knowledge now, and discover how a simple itch can be the beginning of your spiritual awakening. What you will learn here is not generic self-help talk. It is symbolic interpretation, connection with healing practices such as reflexology, Reiki, and acupuncture, and above all, self-knowledge. Because if you want to transform your life, you need to learn to decipher the signs of the universe. And it can all start with that discomfort in the arm, in the back of the neck, or even on the big toe. Does it sound strange? That's precisely why no one talks about it. But those who find out, never look at their own body in the same way again. Get ready to understand what's behind the itch that doesn't go away, and why it can be the key to emotional healing, energy balance, and reconnection with your inner temple. There are those who say that the itch appears out of nowhere, but the ancient spiritual masters knew that nothing arises by chance. When the body starts to itch for no apparent reason, it may be emitting one of those messages from the body that only those who are attentive notice. It's as if the universe gives a subtle nudge, saying, "Hey, there's something in there that needs to be seen." And no, we're not just talking about dry skin or allergies, we're talking about spiritual itching. The one that emerges as a whisper from the soul, calling for spiritual awakening. Imagine someone who starts to feel a persistent itch in their left arm every time they come into conflict with someone. Curious, isn't it? What if this is a sign from the universe pointing to repressed emotions that need to be healed? There are those who say that the body screams what the soul whispers, and when we don't listen, it appeals. This is where symbolic interpretation comes into force, revealing that perhaps it is not the itchy arm, but the emotional memory stored there. When it comes to spiritual itching, the most interesting thing is that it defies conventional medical logic. And we are not here denying science, quite the opposite. The proposal is to broaden the vision, to connect knowledge. As in the spiritual traditions of Hinduism and Chinese medicine, where each physical manifestation is an energetic reflection. According to these ancestral wisdoms, the body is like a sacred map, an inner temple that talks to us all the time. Just learn to listen. Many find meaning in these itches when they begin to practice meditation or explore therapies such as Reiki or acupuncture. They not only relieve physical discomfort, but they touch deeper layers of consciousness. A good exercise is to keep a body diary. Write down when and where the itching appears, what you were feeling or thinking at the time. This simple habit can reveal hidden patterns and awaken a new level of self-knowledge. And that's when everything starts to connect. The itch stops being a nuisance and becomes a guide. A key that opens doors to energy balance, emotional healing, and an intimate conversation with one's own body chakras. Who knew that such a subtle sign could carry so much hidden knowledge? Well, and when we look at the ancient Egyptians and their omens, we realize that maybe they were right all along. Ancient cultures had a much more intuitive and symbolic way of seeing the human body. For the Egyptians, for example, a sudden itch could be seen as an omen, a spiritual warning coming straight from the gods. They believed that specific parts of the body connected with unseen forces. If someone felt an itchy forehead, it could mean that they were about to receive a revelation or that some secret would be revealed. Nothing was seen as chance, everything had an energetic or spiritual cause. In traditional Chinese medicine, this unfolds even more. There, the body is a system interconnected by meridians, and any physical manifestation, including itching, can point to specific imbalances. An itch on the sole of the foot, for example, can be related to the liver or even indicate that vital energy, the famous qi, is blocked. This is why reflexology, so popular in the East, makes so much sense. By stimulating certain points, we access hidden paths of emotional healing and energy balance. In Hinduism, the sight is equally fascinating. Body chakras are seen as energy centers that, when unbalanced, express themselves physically, including through itching. A practical example: if someone experiences constant itching on the back of their neck, it could be the crown chakra trying to open up for a spiritual awakening. These spiritual traditions teach us that the body speaks, and it is up to us to decode the message. The itch is like a whisper from the inner temple, asking for attention. And it's funny how, even in Brazil, there are remnants of these cultural interpretations. Who hasn't heard someone say, "Scratched your hand, it's money coming"? It may seem like superstition, but deep down, it carries an ancestral wisdom of symbolic interpretation. These popular idioms are echoes of spiritual traditions that span generations. Instead of dismissing them, why not investigate them with more curious eyes? Realize that, around the world, itching has never been just physical. It is seen as part of a network of signs from the universe, stitched together with millennial wisdom. Understanding this is like opening an old chest and discovering that everything you feel, including in your body, can have a much deeper root than it seems at first glance. Each part of the body carries a symbolic memory that goes far beyond biology. The head, for example, is not just a cluster of thoughts, it is the epicenter of mental restlessness and the first signs of a spiritual awakening. When someone feels an itch on their scalp for no apparent reason, they may be in the middle of an internal whirlwind, trying to access something bigger. Have you ever thought that this could be the mind opening up to new ideas, or a call to meditate more deeply? The feet are a gem apart. They connect us to the land, to the roots, to the path we are taking. An itch in them can be a nudge from the universe saying, maybe it's time to change direction. This is where the concept of reflexology comes in, so used in therapies such as Reiki or even in Chinese medicine. By stimulating specific points on the feet, it is possible to release tensions in internal organs and even unblock deep emotional issues. Is it magical? No. It is ancient wisdom working with surgical precision. Now, let's talk about the hands. These sacred tools are powerful symbols of creativity and manifestation. If you experience frequent itching in your hands, you may be ready to create something new, a project, a relationship, a new phase. Spiritual traditions often say that creative energy enters through the chakra of the hands. How about channeling this with activities such as crafts, gardening, or even mindful cooking? They are ways to activate this energy and translate messages from the body into practical action. The arms, in turn, hold emotions that we often don't even know are there. An itch in the arms can indicate the presence of repressed feelings that beg to be released. Think about that hug you wanted to give but didn't. Or that anger that he swallowed hard. These emotions, not expressed, end up accumulating in symbolic regions. Here, practices such as acupuncture or energy massages can help to release these blockages and restore energy balance. When we begin to understand the body as a symbolic and spiritual system, everything changes. You can no longer ignore an itch as something silly. On the contrary, it becomes an intimate invitation to look more closely at the inner temple. And by doing this, we begin to realize that there is much more behind each sensation than we imagine. In the hustle and bustle of modern life, it is not always easy to perceive the subtle signals that the body sends. But those who have their spiritual radar on know, that itch that insists on coming back can be more than a simple nuisance. It can be a request for a pause, a nudge from the universe for you to take a deep breath and practice presence. Spirituality in everyday life doesn't have to be something mystical or distant. It can be in the way you listen to your body, take care of your space, even in the way you breathe between one task and another. Bringing spirituality into the routine is like tuning a musical instrument. Sometimes, all the body needs is 5 minutes of silence. Simple, right? But try it, sit comfortably, close your eyes and focus only on your breathing. You don't have to empty your mind, just watch. This daily meditation practice can help you better interpret the body's messages and find the energy balance lost in the midst of chaos. It is like opening a direct channel with your inner temple. And want an even more powerful practical example? Start your day with an intention. It could be something like, today, I want to be more connected to my body. That changes everything. Gradually, you will realize how even an itch can become a spiritual conversation. And if that sounds strange, remember, in spiritual traditions, the ordinary is sacred. Washing the dishes can be a ritual. Showering can be a form of energetic cleansing. Just change the look. Spiritual awakening does not happen in a big event, full of bells and aromatic candles. He reveals himself in the little things. The moment you feel an itch in your arm and, instead of scratching automatically, you stop to reflect, I wonder what my body is trying to tell me. That's the key. The itch turns into a sign from the universe, a gentle reminder that there is something to be seen, felt, perhaps even transformed. A call to go back inside. And in this process, spiritual practices become powerful allies. A bath with herbs, a mindful walk in the park, listening to a mantra while driving. They are simple gestures that connect you with something bigger. And suddenly, that itch becomes a map, pointing to places in the soul that were forgotten. And when we start following this map, new possibilities begin to reveal themselves. When we talk about cure, many immediately think of medicines or medical treatments. But there is a subtler, and deeper, layer that often goes unnoticed, energy healing. The one that begins in the invisible, but reverberates throughout the body. Spiritual itching, in this context, can be seen as a point of activation. A kind of natural alarm indicating that something needs to be rebalanced. And that's where practices such as reflexology, Reiki, and acupuncture come in, ancestral tools that access hidden dimensions of our being. Reflexology, for example, is more than a foot massage. Each point pressed activates organs, emotions, and memories. Did you feel itchy feet? Maybe it's the liver asking for help or the soul indicating a change of course. Reiki, on the other hand, works directly on the body chakras, unblocking stagnant energy. Many report that after a session, that mysterious itch simply disappears, not because it was treated, but because it was understood. In acupuncture, the understanding is similar. The needle is not only physical, it touches subtle layers of consciousness. And yes, there are records of people who felt itching in specific regions during the sessions, as if the body was reacting to the energetic release. This shows that the inner temple is constantly in motion, and any practice that helps to hear it more clearly deserves to be explored. Emotional healing, after all, begins with listening. Those who are in search of self-knowledge can try these practices as part of a comprehensive care routine. A good starting point. Choose one of the techniques and commit to it for at least 21 days. It can be a guided meditation focusing on the chakras, Reiki sessions with a trusted therapist, or even self-massage classes based on Chinese medicine. The important thing is to allow your body to speak, and that you're ready to listen. These practices do not replace traditional medicine, of course, but they complement it masterfully. It is as if they formed a bridge between the physical and the spiritual. And when this bridge is firm, we begin to understand that every itch, pain, or discomfort can be a sign of the universe asking for attention. A gentle reminder that there is an unseen world at work within us, ready to be awakened. The body is more than flesh, bone, and skin. It is a living temple, vibrating at frequencies that most of us do not even realize. When you feel an unexpected itch, don't ignore it. It could be the soul trying to poke, scream, or even dance to get your attention. Each sensation is an opportunity for spiritual awakening, a chance to look within and see what needs to be healed. And the most beautiful thing about it all, this transformation does not depend on anything external. It starts with awareness. Developing this awareness is like lighting a candle in a dark room. Gradually, everything is revealed. A recurring itch in the same part of the body, for example, can be an emotional cycle calling for closure. When you understand this, you no longer feel the symptom as a victim, but as a learner. That's where the real transformation begins, when you stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking yourself, "What is this happening to me for?" This journey requires courage, but also lightness. No one needs to become a monk to understand the messages of the body. All it takes is willingness to observe, reflect, and act. A good start can be to do a weekly self-assessment. How is your body? Where did itches appear? What did you feel emotionally in those days? The answer may be closer than you think. And if you're still in doubt, look for someone who understands Reiki, acupuncture, or reflexology, modern masters of energy healing. Whoever enters this path realizes that the universe speaks all the time. But instead of words, he uses subtle signs, a pain, a dream, a shiver, or that itch that insists on appearing whenever you're about to make an important decision. Coincidence? Perhaps. But in spirituality, coincidences are just miracles in disguise. The important thing is to keep the radar on, the heart open, and the mind curious, like a true explorer of the inner temple. And one thing is certain, once you open yourself up to these signs, there is no turning back. Each gesture becomes a rite, each discomfort an invitation to change. The itch, the same one that used to irritate you, now becomes a guide. An invisible master pointing the way to a life with more self-knowledge, energy balance, and, above all, consciousness. And when this awareness awakens, well, then you start to see the world with different eyes. And now tell me, after all this, are you still going to ignore that unexplained itch? How many messages from the body have you let go until today, thinking it was just something in your head? Maybe it's time to start seeing your body for what it really is, an inner temple filled with signs from the universe waiting for your attention. And if you really want change, the kind that transforms from the inside out, start small. Do that practice you learned here. Meditate, observe, reflect. And above all, listen. The itch can be the whisper that precedes the revolution. The spiritual awakening you've been longing for may be closer than you think, in the palm of your hand, on the soles of your feet, at the exact point where the discomfort insists on returning. So tell me, will you continue to ignore the signals, or will you finally learn to listen to them? Which part of your body is trying to show you what your mind refuses to see? Comment below which of these interpretations made the most sense to you, and if you've had any experience like this. I really want to know. And of course, if this content woke you up, taught you or made you think. Subscribe to the channel, activate the bell and come continue this journey with us. Because here, every detail of your body is a portal to self-knowledge.